The Frontline starts now.
And we're back for our first episode of the Frontline podcast for 2025. And while we are a Powassan Voodoo-centric podcast, I'm sure if you followed long enough, you know that this podcast used to be the official podcast in the North Bay Battalion, which is a little weird that I'm wearing a Barrie Colts hat. My first love will always be the battalion when it comes to the OHL. However, I do have to admit, I think a lot of battalion fans are paying attention to the Barrie Colts this year, and that's because of my special guest that I have on this very first episode of 2025. Former battalion superstar, current superstar of the Barrie Colts, Dalyn Wakely. Welcome back to the show, Dalyn.
Thanks for having me on, 2K. Appreciate it.
I am so excited for this. I know we've been talking about doing this one for a while now, so this is going to be great. This is going to be the end-all, be-all episode. If it's not great, well, I'll never talk to you again.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. We'll see. I'll be judging you, too.
Oh, wow. The heat is coming. Are you going to bring that to MLB The Show sometime, or are you going to play for a team that's better than the Yankees finally?
I usually just hit home runs. Doesn't matter who. So...
All right. Well, let's just jump into it. I know, this is Monday. You just played against North Bay this weekend for the first time since the trade. I kind of want to just jump right into it if you're okay, and then we'll try to get the feels out of the way early, and we'll try to get it to the fun stuff. Sorry, I'm battling my microphone. This is terrible. So take us through it. Take us through, kind of you lose Game 7 against Oshawa, unfortunately, and then fast forward to October, you've got a new address.
Yeah, I mean, a lot kind of went on after that. It basically starts with the draft and the NHL stuff. So I thought I'd probably, hopefully turn pro was my goal coming into the season. So with Edmonton and stuff, all that kind of was going down, and I didn't really know what to expect with the draft. And then into the fall, obviously, again, like I said, the plan was to try to crack Bakersfield with Edmonton's organization, and it didn't work out. So it was time to come back to the O, and I'd never really thought about it too far ahead, just because I had planned to play pro, but obviously had some talks in the just in case kind of factor, and obviously, Barrie being such a big rival, never really crossed my mind that I'd end up where I am, but. I think when it came down to it, it was just, we had such a great 3 years in North Bay, and we were really competitive for a long time. And, the hockey cycle kind of plays itself out, and it was time to, I think, rebuild for them. And for me, I wanted to win coming back in my last season. And I think it was important to, be able to work with them and try to end things as good as possible. And obviously such a great relationship with everyone there. It was, obviously difficult to leave such a great spot. And, you hate to leave anytime, you've built, such great roots in an area, but Barrie's been great so far, and, couldn't be happier with kind of the success we've had, so far this year.
I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. You can tell me to go screw myself if you want. It's all good. Because I think unfairly, a lot of people have painted you as not wanting to come back to North Bay. You did talk to Range yesterday in your interview with Coach Co, and I think you put a lot of that to rest. But I just want to emphasize that it was nothing against North Bay.
No, never. I mean, I have my billets and everyone I'm so close with there, and everyone I got to meet through doing the gathering place and the wake stake stuff, and everyone over the course of 3 years, you build such great relationships with everyone, including yourself, and you never want to leave a situation like that in such a great spot. And I was so happy, every year. I think I've said it to a lot of people, it was the best 3 years of my life, and if the cards were right, I'd have loved to come back and play another season. But, unfortunately, sometimes that's just the business side of hockey. And, for myself, I've always, I want to win. I've been real close for 3 years, and this was my last chance to. And, from a kind of selfish standpoint, I wanted to look elsewhere and maybe see if there was a better opportunity. And, I guess we'll see how this season plays out. But, I'm comfortable with my decision at the end of the day, and I'm just happy to kind of be with Barrie.
All right, let's focus in on the Colts a little bit here. Take us through, what is it about Barrie? From the outsider that might not have paid much attention, because I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are probably battalion fans. What's Barrie got going on? I mean, I've got to watch a few games now, and I've fallen absolutely in love with the play of Bo Jelsma now that I've actually been watching him play. But, what is it about the roster? What's the roster like?
I mean, just a lot of really, really high-end talent all the way through the lineup. And I think the good part about this group is the talent is equally matched in work ethic. So, each night you're going to watch a guy like Gelsmer or Baudouin and guys like that just work so hard and play the game the right way. And I think that's, for us, why we find success a lot of times, just because, even nights that bounces aren't going our way, we're just continuing to work and, creating opportunities that might not come if we weren't working as hard. So for me, kind of when the trade happened, that was, it's tough because you want to go to a contender and there's only, so many each season. But, I thought with this lineup and how deep it is, I mean, you look at our, you can call it a fourth line, but they're not really a fourth line. They're so good. And, same with their back end and goalies. I mean, just some of the best in the league. And, really happy, I think, with this group. And we're just continuing to grow as we go here. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to butcher his last name, Ben Hrebeck. How do you know how do you say his name?
Yeah, Ben Hrebeck, yeah.
Okay, so he's just named OHL Goaltender of the Week this past week as of recording date. I think a lot of people would look at that goaltending and say, well, Sam Hillebrand, he's at the World Juniors, he's the guy, right? But you got a 1-2 punch there. That's you've had the fortune of having some good 1-2 punches in net in your OHL career.
Yeah, it's actually been really crazy. I mean, you can go back to the rookie year for me when we had Verbetic and Dom and Ned, and then we kind of smoothly transitioned right into Dom and Chuck, Robertson, and then Mike too. So I mean, we've had some really, really great goalies over the years in North Bay, and now coming to Barrie, being able to be alongside these two each day, and just seeing how they work and how focused they are, it's awesome to see. And I've hopped in. They do goalie sessions all the time, so I'm usually on the ice in the morning working with them and trying to pick up things for myself. But it's just impressive to see how hard they're working outside of the just typical team stuff. And obviously you can see why they're having success.
I wanted to ask. I know I've talked to you personally about this, and this might get me some flack, but I think the white Colts jersey is one of the worst jerseys in the league. Myself personally, the blue ones are fantastic. The white one, I'm just not a fan of white jerseys in general. So you go from wearing battalion green to those jerseys. How different and how strange was that?
Definitely weird. I mean, my first practice, like I was looking at myself in the glass with the white helmet on, and it was super weird because I've never worn a white helmet. I've always been kind of a different color. Like I was red in minor hockey, and then now I was green, which a lot of people try to pick on the green. And now I'm kind of back to just basic kind of white and navy blue, which is I really think it's pretty sharp. But yeah, it's been a unique ride of colors. And now seeing myself in Barrie colors for the first time was weird, but I've kind of grown into it. And I really like the chrome buckets we have with the blue. So pretty stylish for sure. Yeah,
the chrome buckets are sweet. They looked really good when you guys were wearing them yesterday too. So I love the 30th anniversary jerseys too, like with the stripes on the bottom. Those are slick. But also, the address change, the team change. You got a number change as well. You picked 81. What went into that decision?
I guess kind of just trying to make friends quick. I joke with Morgs, our equipment guy. He texted me, after the trade and was just kind of asking jersey number. And he was kind of, as an overager, go ahead and pick any number, 1 to 100 you want. But I've got these kind of numbers that are already made, like jerseys that are made with these numbers. So they'd be easy to kind of get your name on there and get ready to go. And we played the next night in London. Like I was traded the next night we were in London. So there was a list. 81 was on there. I'd worn 9 in the past. So 8 plus 1 is 9. I kind of like that. And I've worn high numbers before. I used to wear 96 as a kid. So kind of like just the weird difference it was. Didn't want to bring 14 to Barrie. I could have been 14, but wanted to kind of leave that with North Bay and start a new kind of chapter with 81.
Yeah, well, I remember joking with you when it went through. I was like, what, are you a big Phil Kessel fan or something? Like,
I mean, he won a few cups with Pittsburgh, and I cheer for Pittsburgh all the way up. So
that's true. Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion. Yes, our Leaf fans that has been ground into our psyche. It's terrible. As much I do like Phil Kessel though, he wasn't the fault for a lot of those teams. So that's kind of that kind of hopping off that where you talk about the trade, then you're into London the very next day. I kind of want to touch on it more in depth in a little bit, but your last game had been an NHL game. You sat around for a couple of weeks waiting for things to happen. How hard is that to go from NHL, sit around for 2 weeks or so, and then right into London?
Yeah, it was wild because I was sitting at home and like for the first week, I'm not really doing a whole lot of skating or working out because I'm like, hopefully this thing just gets done and I'm in a new city, tomorrow kind of thing. And then, a second week goes by and a third week goes by and you're like, all right, I gotta, stay in shape here. So I was in the gym and finding ice. I don't really know if it's out there, but I was skating, I got permission to skate with the Queen's men's team. So I was skating with those guys and just kind of getting into practice with them, and they were great. A lot of former OHL guys out there, so that was great. And yeah, obviously, I think we played Friday night in London or something, which was crazy, kind of to have your first game. So I was traded the night, 2 nights before, at like 5 o'clock at night or something. It was weird. And then the next morning, I drove to Barrie at 8 a.m. Got to practice in. Didn't really know any of the systems fully. It was just kind of learning on the fly, and into London, which is a big game and obviously a good test for us. So it was a lot of fun and kind of easy to kind of learn and get to know the boys when you're just right into a game like that.
You also made the highlight reel. So that helps too, I would imagine. For you yourself, though, what are some things, I know you're expecting to be traded and all the stuff, we've already touched on that, but for you yourself, what were some of the unexpected things that came with actually being traded that you might not have thought of beforehand?
I mean, you can prepare yourself, I think, for the difference as much as you think you can. But then when you're in a new city, I mean, the emotions and everything that go into that, and the kind of, I don't want to call it stress, but just the difference. And you're in a brand new place. And for me, I was really comfortable. I love North Bay and never really thought of anywhere else as being home. I didn't expect to be anywhere else other than, turning pro. And, that's a different mentality there too. So I think for me going to Barrie, it was like kind of the same. I'm in the same league. I'm playing against the same guys, just on a different team. And that was quite an adjustment, I think, for me. Just getting into a new billet house, getting to know a new family, and obviously a lot of the systems and everything very different from North Bay. So from that standpoint, I had a lot on my mind, just trying to get everything together. And at the same time, I have high expectations for myself, and this is a big year for me. And I want to help this team win, and also I'm trying to earn a pro contract at the same time. So there's a lot kind of going on, and for me, just trying to balance all of that so far has been something I think I've been handling okay. But I think I can do better in the second half here and kind of push this thing over the edge with Barrie.
Do better, he says, but he's still already over a point a game. Okay. I wanted to ask, though, what are some of the things that when you got to Barrie that, Marty Williamson or the coaching staff along with Marty have said that they really like about your game? Like what was the kind of, how did they welcome you in?
Well, obviously we played, we're rivals. We play six times at least during the season over the last 3 years. And they got to know my game a lot. And I think, no, honestly, going back to the trade, like that thing happened, didn't really have them pegged on the board to be traded to until like an hour before I was saying yes. And just kind of everything happened really fast. And I think when you look at fits, that kind of just fit. I think they needed someone maybe like me to kind of come in and play a type of game they needed in their lineup. And for me, I think they just like the 200-foot, centerman kind of guy that can kind of complement. We've got some other great guys up and down the lineup that are really skilled. And, Bodwin's a center. He plays a really well-rounded game too. So I think just trying to have that ability, to play, make, create offense for them, and, keep it good on the defensive side too was important for them. And obviously, just try to be a piece to the puzzle here. And, obviously want to play a big impact in this year.
On the flip side of things, when you're leaving North Bay, what were kind of the things that, when they're wishing you well, kind of? I mean, I'm sure they don't want to wish you too much luck. I heard that from Ryan Houlihan yesterday in the post game. But what's the kind of on the flip side when you hear from Ryan and Adam Dennis kind of thing? Like, what's the flip side of that when the trade's going through?
Yeah, I think just a lot of thankfulness on both sides. I love those guys to death. They brought me along so much and helped me grow kind of into about the player I am. And really fortunate to have those relationships. Denny, was great to me from day one when he picked me. So thankful for that day, and I'll never forget the phone call I got from him on the day he picked me in the draft in 2020. So, that's really special. And Uli, as time went on in the Bay, I think our relationship just grew tighter and tighter. And an amazing coach, always been able to, just talk one-on-one and be honest with each other. And I think that's where so much mutual respect comes from. Just being able to keep it 100% with each other. Never really, we're not going to BS to each other. It's just, honest, and so much respect for him. And obviously he was a great player too. So somebody I always wanted to learn from, him being a centerman. I mean, I could talk for hours and hours about the things, him and I talked about and went through. And, it was just awesome to kind of be a part of that group. And, I can't skip on Razor and Billy, and everyone there, the goalie coaches, and, Razor and Billy, awesome too. Power play, penalty kill, just learning from them, and really special relationships with everyone on that coaching staff for the last 3 years. And, something you can't really replace, that's for sure.
All right, let's get into the we touched on the trade. We touched on, the motives behind the trade and stuff. Let's talk about the last couple of days here where, obviously every hockey player wants to say it's just another game. I've been around interviews long enough to know that's not true. There's extra motivation on both sides, always to kind of put your best foot forward. I mean, even when I'm sure you're playing Owen Sound and you're up against a guy like Scott Ray, you want to put your best foot forward just to kind of get bragging rights on him. So,
Yeah.
It's kind of cruel that it was set up just after Christmas, so you had to sit through Christmas and all that stuff too. But take us through the first game in Barrie. What was that kind of like, seeing the green jersey on the other side of the rink for the first time?
Yeah, it was super weird. A lot of the group has changed. I think over the past season, there's a lot of new faces there, but a lot of my best friends are still on that team, and being against them for the first time was weird. And seeing the green too, it wasn't the white jerseys, it was the green. So kind of the staple of the battalion was on the other side. And I think I was probably gripping my stick a little too tight that night. Just, I don't know, but it was, definitely an interesting game. Fortunately, we got the W, but, I think for the first time, that was all season where it was just weird to be out there playing against them. And, probably didn't lay as many hits as I should have that night. So I think the next night for me was just trying to focus back in and try to treat it like a regular game, because the night before I didn't really. And, we had a good weekend, so it was great.
Yeah, there was a couple of times, a couple of scrums there, you're next to procession and there's a scrum going on. Like, you're kind of there, like, what do you do? Do you still have to put your arm around the guy? Like, you went to battle with this guy for 2 years, right? Or, I mean, last year, Bronson Ride comes in at the trade deadline, then he's punching a guy down after a goal here in the game at home. Like, what do you do about that stuff?
Yeah, no, it's wild. And I love it when they cross-check me and we battle. I just love that kind of sign of respect that they're going to treat me just like any other opponent. I wouldn't really ask for anything else. So it's great. Prosy on draws, we were battling all night long. Didn't really chirp each other much. We didn't talk at all, I don't really think, over the last few days. But he's a warrior, just like the rest of those guys there. So it was great to see those guys in battle against them. And I think we got them soon coming up again. So it'll be fun.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk to you about, obviously, one of your running mates from last year, Owen Van Steensel, two-hand slash you.
Yeah.
What was the exchange of words after that one?
Well, like, my whole arm was like pins and needles killing me. So I was just like, ow, like, what the heck? And then he was like complaining to the referee. I could hear him like that I was like milking it, trying to pretend it wasn't an actual slash. So I don't know. He ended up in the box, and yeah, I don't know. We talked after, and I was like, man, that actually hurt. And he thought I was, like I said, he thought I was pretending, but I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but quite a two-hand I got.
One other thing I wanted to ask, or there's two more things I wanted to ask you about the first game, but the first one being, there's that long review in the third period on their goal, and it's deemed a goal. And there's another review that comes out as goaltender interference. He's standing at the red line, and you're kind of right there on the bench, and he's just chirping over and beaking off Owen Van Steensel there. Was that directed at you or directed at the rest of the Colts?
There was a lot of chirping going on both games. I think that just comes from being division rivals. I wasn't really saying anything at all. I was just kind of laughing. I know Lerdo was one of my best friends too, and he had a lot to say that night, and everyone's kind of chirping back, and it's just so weird because both sides are my friends, and so I don't really chirp too much when it's those guys. But kind of funny to kind of watch it all go down from the side and just let them go at it.
I mean, Laird had a pretty slick assist in that game too, so got to
Yeah,
give
he
him
did.
that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the return the next day. Obviously, you've played them now, the one game, you got the W, but now you're coming home, essentially, is what it is. You're coming to
Mhm.
your home away from home for 3 years. What's going on, like, on the bus ride up? Are you just thinking it's just another game? Obviously, like, it can't be just another game.
Honestly, the bus ride up, it was so early in the morning. Like I had a nap on the way up and then ate my pregame meal on the bus. And till we got to the arena, it was just like any other game. I was just kind of listening to my music, whatever. And then when I got to the rink, same kind of thing until like the fans started to come. And then, as I'm outside the dressing room, like people see me kind of shaking hands, catching up with just a lot of familiar faces, which was great. I love that. And seeing a lot of the fans kind of, they're just saying hi. And, that brought back a lot of memories. And it wasn't really till the game, or I guess the intermission when I had my interview that it kind of everything started to flood back. But I think it was good that we played them the night before just to kind of get a lot of the nerves out, and the next night was easier to kind of just play free. But there's nothing kind of like going back there for the first time, and seeing just so many people, and kind of like I said at the beginning, like the emotions of all that kind of stuff is really crazy. You don't really know what it's like until everything just kind of starts pouring out of you, and then it's a lot. So a great return. I love that city, and it was great to be there again.
You come in also, and there's three banners up in the roof. Banners fly forever, and you're a big part of those three banners. Unfortunately, there weren't more banners, but that can't take away from the fact that those three banners weren't there before you came to North Bay. So, what's it like, kind of seeing those three? When you come back in the building and you start doing warm up and all that jazz again.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, obviously we were really, really good for a long time there, and just to be a part of that, and know that we kind of made some part of history in North Bay and in the battalion is pretty special. And um, you know, it's hard to put into words. It was just a great 3 years, and just really thankful to be a part of it. And it's fun being there. Fun environment. The fans are amazing. It was super loud again last night when we were there, and just we'll never. I think that's a hockey town that isn't really replicated anywhere, from what I've seen in the league, at least. I mean, 2,000, 3,000 fans are louder than a lot of people's 5,000 and 6,000 fans. So it's awesome.
Within the first 2 minutes, I think it's your first shift, you take a penalty. Is that how you anticipated Bob Coles to say your name over the public address speaker again for the first time?
I mean, I guess it's only fitting that I did something like that to start the game. Again, my emotions were just all over the place. So it was Enright. I think he hit me, and I was just like, I'm not dealing with this all day, and I slashed him pretty good. And then, um, yeah, I got a penalty. But I joked with the guy in the box because we talk all the time, and I said to him before the game, I'm like, I'll probably see you at some point today, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, first shift of the game, I'm over there in the box, and he comes and says, "Well, that was quick." So pretty funny how that kind of worked out. And obviously, I had to get him to Bob Coles to say my name again, just not with another penalty. So.
Well, you got him to say it a couple of more times because you potted a couple of goals.
Mhm.
How big is that to do that? When you're returning to North Bay, not just get one, but to get two.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super close game too, like 3-1 with that empty netter, and obviously to play a big role in the win, is nice. And I think Moses had one the night before, and kind of that little mini head to head that's not really talked about. Was definitely on my mind that he got one the night before, and he's a great young player, so definitely wanted to make my mark on this kind of series on the weekend, the two games, and to help us get the 2 points like that was awesome. And never get tired of scoring goals in the Garden. So it was great.
I must point out too, Moses scored that goal with you in the penalty box. So
yeah, I'm in the box sometimes. Yeah,
only sometimes, eh? But yeah, to get that that win and be named first star, I don't think you could script up a better return to North Bay if you gave it to Hollywood.
No, not really. It was pretty, from a movie. Being able to go out there for the first star after, like you said, was great. And first goal and then the game winner is pretty sweet. So sorry to Mikey McIver. He stood on his head that game, but had to get one on him or two.
Yeah, he's pretty unbelievable, that's for sure. And that he deserves better fate I think. But I mean, to get two on him, that's quite the feather in your cap on that one. So I wanted to ask to kind of turn it more, not necessarily because everyone will look at the trade as players, right? Anyone that's watched you, followed you over the last couple of years knows that your family is your biggest fan, your whole family. You know, it was hard. It was rare to not see a Wakely jersey in the crowd when, you know, even on the road or something. And now they're already gotten all the Barrie jerseys too. I'm pretty sure that they're single-handedly propping up the Barrie merchandise this year. But what was the trade like kind of for them from a family perspective?
Yeah, I think part of that, the trade was, you know, if we could, is just to be closer to home a little bit. Shorter drive for them this year, and my brother was gone away to school, so everyone, you know, trying to be as close as possible. It's only an hour and a half now, I think, for them to Barrie, which is nice. And you know, not that they, you know, asked me to move closer to home. They love to come to North Bay, and they do it, you know, without hesitation. But kind of nicer for me, I think, just to be closer for them and know that their drive is a little bit less, and their support has always meant so much to me, and so much family at every game. So you know, if I can make life easier on them just a little bit, that's, you know, nice for me to kind of know in the back of my mind. And you know, they've been great. They got the Barrie stuff. I went up to the store the other day to get myself a hat, and the guy that was in the store was like, "Yeah, your family's in here every night buying something." You know, we might have to cut them off at some point, but no, it's great. It's always great to have, you know, family support, and I couldn't ask for kind of a better situation.
For them to, you know, also make the trip to North Bay, how special was that for them to come back for your first game back?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, again, not really surprising. They're always there, and you know, I'm so thankful for that. And I think there's probably about 20 people there, at least from home. So really great to have everyone there and kind of celebrate, you know, the win and a good night for me in my return there. And you know, as well as my billets, and my whole billet family was there too. So a really great day, and I was super happy to see everyone.
A lot, at least from where I've been, has been made of, you know, the support of your billet family. But I wanted to ask about your current billets. Like, what's that kind of like now? You're so far into your OHL career to just be kind of plopped into another family.
Yeah, it's crazy. But actually, a funny like side note about that is when Uli played for Brampton, my billet grandpa was his billet dad. So I'm living with his billets. His billet sister, I guess it would have been Meg. So Meg and Patrick Glad I live with now, and they have two little boys, Liam and Connor, and they're great. I think they're 4 and 5. So a lot of mini sticks going on and monster trucks and all that kind of stuff. And they keep me on my toes. So it's been great to kind of be, you know, in a different kind of spot now, and to be, you know, meet new people and kind of build a new relationship has been great. And obviously to have like just another connection with Uli and to stay close that way is awesome too. So yeah, pretty lucky to have these guys, and they're great.
I know, but back to your previous billet family, the Youngs, you know, they have a box at the Gardens, and there's obviously, it may have caused a little bit of controversy recently on the fan page about a certain sign that's still up there. But now not only is it a number 14 Dalyn Wakely sign that's up, now they've added 81 in a big yellow one as well. So
no, did they?
Yeah. I don't know if it was them that added it, but it was definitely put up there for sure. So what's that kind of like to still see, you know, obviously they're going to support you forever. They're your billet family from North Bay, right? So, but to see that continue, it must be pretty special.
Yeah, no, they're literally like actual family for me. I think, you know, Brian and Lori, I probably talk to Brian at least once a week, and I talk to Lori every day, you know, with no question. So I think just to have people like that in my life is awesome. And, you know, they're a second version of mom and dad. And they were brutally honest with me too, especially Lori. She, if I don't shoot the puck one night, she'll be texting me, shoot the puck at the intermission. So it's great to have them kind of, you know, with me all the time, and that support, you know, you can't really ask for anything better than that. And, you know, definitely surpassed any, you know, vision I had of billets in the OHL. And, you know, even Meg and Patrick now, they're great. So, you know, I couldn't ask for kind of two better scenarios than what I've had, and, you know, kind of a perfect career for me billet wise for sure.
Well, if the hockey thing never works out, there's always Tim Hortons in North Bay, right? So
yeah.
Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items, or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
Welcome to the Clubhouse by Gateway Golf. Located on Oak Street East in North Bay, with over 200 plus real-time courses, simulator arcade games, and delicious eats, the Clubhouse is North Bay's newest social hangout. You can book times now at gatewaygolf.ca or come visit at 245 Oak Street East in North Bay, Ontario. The Goalie Resiliency Podcast, hosted by Chris Dawson and Dr. Rob Graham. With player interviews new and old, goalie insights, and everything you need to know about being a netminder, this is the podcast to check out. You can subscribe at youtube.com/goalie-resiliency or instagram.com/goalie_resiliency.
The Frontline podcast is broadcasted from inside the 360 Goaltending Icebox in North Bay, Ontario. 360 Goaltending, redefining Canadian goalie culture.
Why is Northern Honda servicing more cars of all makes and models? Let's count the ways. 1. Our state-of-the-art facility has award-winning technicians. 2. Northern Honda has the lowest tire price guarantee, no matter what you drive. 3. The lowest synthetic oil change guarantee, and every 5th oil change is free for all makes and models. Plus, new Honda buyers get brake pads for life. See the service difference at Northern Honda, 1250 Seymour beside Home Depot.
Kids Sport North Bay is an organization that helps kids who otherwise couldn't get in the game with grants of up to $500. You can donate or find out more at www.kidsportcanada.ca.
But speaking of the hockey thing working out, we've gotten this far into this without talking about, one of the big elephants in the room. The last time you were on the podcast, which was about a year ago with some guy named Owen Van Steensel we've talked about already, and Anthony Romani, this hadn't happened yet. So obviously this happened this past summer. Some team out west, not the Leafs, unfortunately, decided to draft you, the Edmonton Oilers. Take us through what that what that felt like.
Oh man, it was awesome. Like literally dream come true. Like every kid kind of dreams of growing up that's a hockey player. And for me, I remember like that draft, I wasn't really I'd interviewed with quite a few teams, which was different from the year prior. And it was my last year of eligibility. So it was kind of, not really sure because I'm an older guy in the draft. So half expecting to go just because of the season I had, but half, I'm an older guy. So maybe just get something done on the side after deal wise. I had one interview with Edmonton and that was it. I'd interviewed with other teams, 5 or 6 times, but to have, one interview with Edmonton, it was a really great interview. I won't forget it just because of how in depth they were with me and how much they studied, my game and who I am all season long. And when we did our interview, they'd kind of laid all of that out to me, which was amazing. I'd never really had an interview like that. So to see how much time they put into me even before picking me, made me feel pretty special and important to them. And ever since then, it's kind of been, I see the development guys weekly here and, they're putting a lot of time into me and I'm just trying to, work as hard as I can to be a part of that organization sooner than later. But on draft day, that draft's always stressful and we were watching it on TV and it was getting later in the draft. And, that's always frustrating kind of when you're just sitting there waiting to go. And so I was sitting there just about ready to kind of get up and take a break from watching. Just because I was getting frustrated. And then I heard my name on the TV as I kind of got up from the couch and my mom heard it more than I did. And she started screaming and going crazy. And my dad had just walked outside. And so she ran outside, called him back in. And it was just crazy kind of 5 minutes before I started getting phone calls from Edmonton and stuff. But dream come true. Couldn't ask for anything better. Edmonton, just such a great team right now too. Obviously a lot of, storied franchise with Gretzky and McDavid now and so many great players. So I'm fortunate to kind of be drafted to an organization like that and try to, make my way into the team.
You kind of alluded to it with the interview process before him, where you hadn't really heard from them. You talked to them once, but what's that whole pre-draft process like for, people that haven't lived that experience?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of said too, like the year before I was still eligible and I didn't think I had a bad year. Like I remember I was the first one to 30 goals on the troops that year and we were a loaded team. So I thought for me that was a pretty good stepping stone in year two for me. And unfortunately didn't go, but so I didn't really have many interviews that year. So going into the last season we just played, didn't expect a whole lot of interviews just because I figured, well, I'm older now and I didn't hear from anybody last year, so probably won't this year. And calls didn't really start to come in until probably January, February, March, like later, second half for sure. And then really ramped up kind of as the season hit playoffs and into the end of the year, with a lot of teams kind of calling back, doing multiple interviews and stuff like that. So it's cool to be a part of, especially when you got teams circling back once, twice, three times, just because that's something you dream of, is being picked in the NHL. And for me, it was pretty special to just be able to talk to these guys and get to know them and have them hear what they think of me as a player. So special to kind of just be a part of that process and to be picked at the end of the day was great.
So you get drafted by Edmonton. They give you a call. What's kind of the next steps after the draft? Like, had you ever been to Edmonton before? I know you flew out shortly after, but
No, I'd never been to Edmonton. I'd never really, like, I've only been in Ontario, really, in Canada. So to be out west was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, they flew us out for dev camp, I think, like the next week or a few days later. And pretty cool to see their kind of setup there. Really, really nice, kind of brand new facility. Obviously, they've got the best players in the world playing there right now. So, kind of to see what they go through on a day-to-day basis was pretty cool, and something to work towards too. So, definitely something important for me is to just kind of continue to grow and watch those guys. I study how the American League team's doing a lot, and the pro team obviously as well, the NHL club. So, Edmonton's a sick spot to be, I think, and trying to make the jump sooner than later.
of course, Battalion fans won't soon forget that Matvey Petrov plays for Bakersfield. So have you heard at all from Matvey since the draft? Did he reach out to you?
Oh yeah. He was probably one of the first people to text me after the draft, like after I got picked. And I mean, we talk pretty like every day too. So I've become pretty close with him. I was close with him when he was in North Bay, but even more so now. I think he kind of figured I'd be there this year too. He was wanting to live together and stuff. So hopefully, next year or something, we can work that out. But yeah, he's a great teammate, and he's had a good last couple 10 games here. So he's heating up, and that's good to see too for him. And exciting to kind of watch his career unfold too.
You get to play a game though in preseason with the Oilers, and it wasn't just like the Oilers B squad. I know that there was a split squad day. There was half the team was at Calgary, but you're on the same roster, the same sheet of ice as Connor McDavid. What was that like?
Yeah, it was wild. Like, obviously he's the best player in the world, and Leon was playing that night, and Hyman, and a lot of their top end guys. So just to be actually playing like a pretty serious like preseason game, I guess they probably don't take it as serious as I did, but it's a preseason game, which is unreal to kind of be a part of right after the draft and in your first kind of year, and to see them, like I said, just be alongside them, kind of do the game day routine with those guys. I mean, that's crazy to kind of be in. And then I remember there's a few times like I would be changing for McDavid, so he would come off and I'd be hopping the boards, which is just a wild like thought. Like I never really thought like on calling McDavid, like I got McDavid when he comes, and so that was kind of a crazy experience to go through. And it was nice though, because I've trained with those guys for a few years now, and like I said, Hyman and Leon and Connor, we played in a summer tournament together like a couple weeks before, so they were all joking with me before the game, bring it like you did in the tourney, a couple weeks ago and stuff like that. And I sat beside McDavid in the room, so they're great guys and great teammates, and just kind of cool to go through that with them.
Well, that was going to be kind of my next question, was how much interaction you actually had with them, because I remember about a year ago, you and I had this conversation where you're like, yeah, he trains at Gary Roberts too and all that jazz, right? So you're talking about how you see him in the hallways, but you never really, other than, hey, how is it going? But now to actually be in a room with him, and well, you kind of answered the question already, is that you're sitting next to him in the room. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was wild. Obviously, like I would never be sitting beside him probably if it wasn't a split squad game, but just to kind of be put beside him was unreal. And obviously just, small talk kind of before the game. He doesn't want to bother me too much, but just kind of, relaxing me, go have fun, enjoy it. Same with Hyman and Leon too. But just kind of, how comfortable they made me feel in a game like that was nice. And, just telling me to enjoy it and have fun. It was so cool and kind of surreal to experience.
I have a little cousin who's just getting into hockey. Like he's been playing for 2 years now. He's absolutely obsessed. His favorite team's the Leafs because he's smart. But his favorite player in the world right now, obviously, is Connor McDavid. He's like 7 years old. So Connor McDavid, everything. His younger brother's all about Austin Matthews, so it's kind of fun to pit them against each other when they're hanging out. But anyways, I said to him this summer, I said, I'm friends with a guy who got drafted by Edmonton this year. And he says to me, you know Connor McDavid? I'm like, no. That doesn't mean I know Connor McDavid. So. But that whole process, though, overall, what's the speed of an NHL game like compared to an OHL game? Like when you're out there playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 4 or 5 notches higher, even in the preseason. I mean, every play is just happening quick. It's kind of bang, bang, every zone, every play. So, for me, just trying to, keep that consistent level of play to get to that next level is kind of where my head's at and trying to, get my game to that level. But, it's really fun playing with guys like that are super high end skill and can think like that. Because I think a big part of my game is just my IQ and my ability to kind of make plays. And so to be out there with guys that obviously are in that same kind of realm is a lot of fun. And just want to bring my game up a couple notches to play with them.
Now, when it comes to the head or front office of the Oilers, was Stan Bowen already GM at the draft, or were you drafted by? So what's that kind of like now that you have to go to training camp and talk to a guy that didn't draft you, kind of thing?
It was wild, and I didn't even talk to him until like after my preseason game. We got a photo with my draft jersey and stuff, but he didn't draft me. I was drafted by like their head of scouting and kind of probably the assistant GMs with Bakersfield and stuff like that had eyes, but definitely a weird kind of situation to come into just because he didn't draft me, but he's the GM now, and kind of a unique scenario. But he was great to meet and kind of talk to and get to know quickly in the couple weeks that I was in Edmonton in the fall, and just trying to build that relationship now with him and everyone in the organization as we move on.
So what do they kind of like, what do they say about what they want to see from you this year when they send you back to the OHL after that preseason game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously kind of a unique scenario for me, I think, with just some of the things that went on. Obviously last year was, 100 points, 104 points was, one of the best years for an OHL player last year. And so I think for me in my kind of, agents and all, in my kind of circle of people, we were pushing hard to make the jump to pro, felt like, we could do it. And obviously, they just want what's best for me too at the end of the day. So I think for them, they didn't want to rush me into a scenario that, wasn't best for me and where I would feel rushed or not comfortable right away in a role that doesn't really fit my style of game. So, their message to me was just go back, continue to be the player you were last year and build on that, clean up some defensive habits and centermen are, important with face-offs. So dominate in the circle like that. And, just kind of continue to grow on last year and we'll see you, hopefully next year. So for me, just trying to put my head down now and work on the fine details, work with the development staff to kind of get to where I need to be. And hopefully, come the summertime and next fall, we're there.
What we talked about your jersey number in Barrie, you wore 59 in that game against the Oilers. What kind of goes on with that, where there's guys who are so established that, all these numbers are off the board? Do they still give you a list of numbers, but even though you're not going to be on the team this year kind of thing, like how does that work?
Yeah, no, I don't think I picked my number. I think they just kind of gave it to me. And I'm pretty sure in the summertime I was like 56, and then they switched me to 59. But it was a cool number. It was different. Not
Well,
many.
5 + 9 is 14. Just
Yeah,
saying.
and I kind of laughed because I thought maybe they did that, maybe they knew, but I doubt it. But um, anyway, the stars kind of aligned for that math to work out too. But yeah, I didn't get to pick my number.
Um, also don't. I'm sure you do where you were standing stats wise, but you came into Memorial Gardens yesterday with 14 goals, 14 assists, right? So
I did. You're right.
that's a little strange.
Put an asterisk on the assist though, because I sent in an assist from like a game before the break. So hopefully that changes and adds another one, but
So
we'll
you have
see.
15.
Yeah.
Speaking of stats, well, we kind of shift off the Oilers a little bit. What you currently have 217 OHL points, which is very impressive. That's 217 more than I'll ever get. Um, that puts you. I did a list the other day because I was going to do a bit of a deep dive, and this is what happens when you're on holidays at Christmas. You have nothing else to do with your life. I looked at all the former first round picks of the North Bay Battalion and their OHL career stats. You are currently third behind Brandon Coe, who has 218, and Brett McKenzie has 224. So if you get to 225, you'll have outscored every first round pick the battalion have had since they moved to North Bay. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. And I'm pretty sure like I do my homework too, and I've looked at all the stats and North Bay Battalion all-time points leaders. I think I'm fifth.
Yeah, you're up
and
there.
in another season, I think I needed 50 some points to climb to one. So that was a hard part of leaving North Bay too. Like I kind of had that in my scopes. If I was back, I could, hopefully catch number one. And, if I was healthy and everything went right, I'd, hopefully, again, have another good season and be number one, which would have been a cool feather in the cap, but not to be, I guess, but, super cool to kind of be among those guys that have played for North Bay.
Well, in overall points, you're one behind all OHL career wise. You're one behind, Brandon Coe, who was a leader on the team when you came in as a rookie. So that's kind of a little bit of a full circle moment, I would say, on that one.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you though. I know, you're playing for the Colts. You've been drafted by Edmonton, but we got to go back and we got to talk about that Oshawa series real quick. I know we don't want to open up the can too much on this one. What's worse, losing in Game 7 or coming back and losing in Game 7? Like coming back from down 3-0, 3-1.
I've never lost in a Game 7 that wasn't coming back from down 3-0, so I don't know, but I think like last year was so tough. Just because of the bounces we got. I mean, Rome's went down and BV went down, and then I felt early in that Oshawa series we just didn't get any breaks. We were killing so many penalties, like goals called back. Like we just we didn't want to ever put the blame on anything other than ourselves, but I don't think we felt as a group that we got the best bounces in the playoffs at all. And for us to climb out of that 3-0 hole and make that a series, I mean, we were the best team, I think, and just didn't get any breaks. But it's kind of unfortunate that we lost in Game 7. Obviously, super tough to beat a team 4 times, especially 4 straight. So I guess hats off to them. They were a good team, but I think fully healthy, I'm pretty confident in our team. But yeah.
Well, they're a pretty good team and all, but so is the team in stripes. I will say that. But anyways, that's for me to say. But I will say, the previous 2 Eastern Conference final losses, you're a rookie the first year. You come back, you still have another year at least. But last year, where you think you're going to be moving, well, you did eventually move on, but where you think you're going to be moving on to the next level, that could have been very well your last game in the OHL. What goes through your mind immediately when that final buzzer hits and Oshawa's celebrating?
I mean, I know there's a lot of tears for everyone because a lot of like I mentioned earlier, like the team this year is pretty different from what the roster looked like last year in North Bay, and a lot of the guys are playing pro now, and I think the message all year long was, this is our last kind of kick at the can as a group. And we knew it was a pretty special group kind of after going through so many Eastern Conferences together, Eastern Conference finals. And, in game 7, I don't know, we just love to play together, and it was a really special group. And, losing a game like that is so tough. And for that group to kind of go out the way we did, I don't really think we deserve that one. But I guess things are better to come for us in our careers sometime. And hopefully, all the best for the guys that have moved on, and for the guys that are still there. Hopefully better breaks to come. But definitely, thought it was probably my last game in a North Bay jersey. Just didn't really think it was going to be because of the reason, but tough for sure.
Well, I know I mentioned it off the top. I think, Battalion fans definitely have a little bit more of a vested interest in the Barrie Colts this year because, it's been touched on. Ranch said it perfectly in the start of the interview yesterday. You're one of the most beloved players to have ever put on a jersey here in North Bay. And I don't think, when you came up here that first time, before our very first game of golf that you and I went and played, I don't think even you had an inkling that might be the way your career would go in North Bay.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know if anybody ever really can prepare themselves for for something like that. And we're just so thankful for everything that I've gotten from the community, and the love and support they've always shown. And yesterday was super special to be back there, and so many people from the community coming up and saying hi. I didn't really warm up yesterday before the game on the ice, or like before I went on the ice, because I was just, catching up with so many people and all the fans, talking to them. And I just, they took the time to say hi, and I wanted to take the time as well. And, really kind of, be invested in the moment there, and soak it all in. So, to have that support is great. And, I'll never kind of take that for granted. That's for sure.
All right. One of the last ones I got for you, how we always team, especially in the early days, would like to ask, what's your favorite and least favorite place to play in the OHL? And you always kind of have Peterborough as one of your favorites, North Bay as one of your favorites, which usually some guys, bottom 2 arenas to play sometimes, other than Sudbury.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you're not at the Gardens, do you still rank Memorial Gardens pretty high?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are still my top 2, Peterborough and North Bay. And North Bay is probably one. I mean, I've just been in so many big games in that arena, and the crowd, like I said before, is like there's not a better crowd, I don't think, in the league. I mean, they're wild, super loud, no matter how many people are in the building. So really, really special place to play. And I think around the league, people are starting to notice that, and how great a place it is to be. And that's well deserved. The people there have earned that kind of recognition, and proud to be a part of that, and the growth that we've kind of had the last few years, for sure.
So where I like going to Barrie and watching games, but where does the Saddlon Arena now rank for you?
Well, I mean, it has to be in my top 3. Peterborough, North Bay, Barrie, in no order. But it's pretty cool because like you play there kind of a lot as a in-division team against them, but I like the setup, like the bowl kind of setup. It's always full. There's always at least 4,000 people there, which is awesome. Kind of to be in an arena that is always full. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't really ask for a nicer setup than that. So pretty cool to be in that rink now, and hopefully try to put a banner up in that rink this year.
Hey, they love their banners in Barrie. They got a whole bunch of them. It's great. I you know what, as a fan, I love watching. I love looking up at the stats ones and the best seasons and all that stuff. I'm sure you're well aware, but it's kind of ironic that your first OHL career goal was against the Barrie Colts.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. I remember like that was one of the first things we talked about when I got to Barrie was, we joke all the time back and forth about things that we've, done over the years in the league. And obviously my first goal, and 2 years ago, we knocked them out in 7. We knocked Barrie out in 7. So that's talked about a lot too. And I joke about that with them all the time, just because they think they were the better team. And obviously I think, being on North Bay at the time, we were the better team. So funny to kind of have all that history to joke about, and now be on the same side is definitely cool.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Yesterday, before the end of the game, I was down in the corner where I usually stand for the last 5 minutes of the third period. and I'm right next to Barrie's media guy, Colin,
Mhm.
and we're kind of talking, and he says to me, "This goal horn still haunts me from Game 7 a couple of years ago."
Mhm.
So
No, yeah. All the boys say that. Like, I mean, North Bay, one thing they're always recognized for is the warm up music. Because, like, I know we picked as players in North Bay what we get to listen to, and all the boys that come into town love the tunes that we choose. So that's cool. And the goal horn is super unique too with the goal song. It's not really a typical song. It's kind of unique to North Bay and in the battalion. So everything that kind of goes into the game day stuff is pretty unique and pretty special.
So I know your teammates now. Marty Williamson's your coach and all that stuff. But like, and you touched on that 7-game series from a couple of years ago. But like, do you still like hold that over them, like being like that's the feather in your cap kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, there was something today where our assistant coach Dylan Smoskowitz was in the room talking about North Bay in that series in Game 6 or something, and being at the game. And I was like, "Oh yeah, you guys, you lost that game, right? Like you came and lost Game 6 in Barrie in North Bay." And it was just funny. All the boys were like, yeah, whatever, and kind of funny to have that over them because they don't really have anything over me. So it's funny to mess around with them on that.
Well, here's a little bit more ammo. Is that the first year the battalion were here, beat Barrie in 6. That was the Aaron Ekblad year. Next year, Andrew Mangiapane leads the team. They beat Barrie in 6. The third year North Bay's here, Barrie wins their only playoff series against North Bay.
Wow.
And then you guys come and you beat them in 7. And still, one of the strangest things is that whoever scored first in that series was losing that game. It's weird. Like,
Yeah, and I remember I scored first in one of those games in Barrie in that series, and I think it was Game 3 because we would have been the home team in that series. So Game 3 would have been in Barrie, and I'm pretty sure I scored first in Game 3, and then they took the series lead 2-1, I think.
yeah.
But yeah, what a crazy series. And I remember at the time, like being a battalion, like we've always had a really strong belief in that room. And I remember we never really at any point thought we were like not the better team and we weren't going to win. And then it's so funny to kind of be on the other side now where they talk about it. And they're like, I can't believe we lost that series. Like we were the better team. So you kind of see both sides, which is really cool. And the funny the thing is too, is North Bay and Barrie, we could play each other in the playoffs this year, which would be wild if that ended up being round 1 matchup. So, part of me wants it and part of me doesn't want it because I know Uli and that whole team will be ready to go come playoff time, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, obviously it hasn't been the first half for the battalion that they would have wanted, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But you can't discount a Ryan Houlihan-led team come playoff time. Like, you just can't.
No, definitely not. And I mean, the Eastern Conference this year is just so even. Like they haven't even really been very bad. They're in a stacked Eastern Conference that a lot of teams win a lot of games. So I think they could probably get in there and get into the playoffs, but we'll see. And definitely can't count out the experience that he's going to bring for them come playoffs. How
wild would it for you to be to experience Memorial Gardens in the playoffs one more time?
Yeah, it'd be crazy. I mean, again, I don't want to ask for anything because that's good. So we'll see if that happens or not. I love the crowd. It's crazy there, but wouldn't really want to hear them yelling, cheering too much if we came there for round 1.
Did you, speaking of that playoff series though, from a couple of years ago, because we obviously we're talking about it now, but did you see the Colts story on Instagram yesterday with the?
Yeah, man, it was so funny. I sent it. Because me and Clarky, like I don't really like I'm not friends with Clarky really, but we know each other and we're kind of mutual friends, and we work with the same skills guy during the summer. So I sent it to him, Josh Roble, our skills guy, and I was like, because we joke about it all the time what happened, and I was like, I can't believe we just posted that on our own story. Like, what the heck is like? I don't know, just a crazy thing that happened in the playoffs. But yeah,
I wouldn't have thought Barrie would have been okay with that kind of thing. That's what made me laugh the most about it.
No, it caught me off guard for sure because I remember like in North Bay, like it was hilarious that happened, but I guess they found it equally as funny, which is good that they can kind of laugh about it too.
Yeah, that was, oh my God, when I saw that. I sent it to the Frontline group chat. No one really got it. And I was like, how do you guys not get this? Like, I was visibly mad about it, like with them last night in our group chat. I was like, this is funny. Like, this is next level.
Yeah, it was funny. If like the story said, if you know, you know. And it was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, it's just funny to me that the last time I'd been in that arena before you started playing there was the game that you and not the last time because Game 6 would have been the last time, but Game 4 was when you and Rome's got that overtime
Mhm.
goal, and I'll never forget it because I'm trying to call the game and Charlie Abbott's right next to me and he hugs me while I'm calling that goal call. You could
Mhm.
hear it in my voice, like because I was like, "What is going on right now?"
I'm not gonna lie. Like over the years, I've played. I guess because we just play them so often that you get used to them and you kind of figure out tendencies. But I played pretty well, like all the time against Barrie, and in that barn, I always had pretty good nights. And yeah, I'll never forget that. I think it was double overtime, right?
It was, yeah.
Holmes buried that one, and I think that was hit like our first shift of that second overtime, and yeah, found him coming down the middle, and he put her home. So yeah, it was crazy.
He did the heartbreaker too, which is great.
Yeah, he's
What
the Selly king.
I was, you know what? I kind of rewatched a little bit just in preparation for this of last year's one with the three of you,
Mhm.
and you could just tell the entire time he's like, "Don't ask me questions."
He's funny.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. Anyways, I'm gonna get my feels here just for a second before we wrap up, Dal. I know you
Mhm.
got it yesterday. A lot of adoration from around the North Bay community, and I just want to thank you a lot for everything over the last 3 years. It's really been special, and it's special watching your career now in Barrie, and it's going to be special watching you in Edmonton. And I really appreciate you coming on the podcast here tonight. It really means a lot.
I appreciate it, 2K. Always the best with you, buddy. And I'm curious, did you eat the peanut butter balls? Like, are they all gone, or did you save a couple?
There's a couple left. There's a couple
Good.
left.
That's good. I could refill you anytime. We'll get you some more. But
Well, your mom already messaged me and said that she's bringing some up again when you guys come back up later this month, which is great because my birthday is like right after you guys come back here, so that's like a great birthday gift.
that's perfect. Yeah,
So-
no, thank you, 2K. Always appreciate hopping on. And I think I've earned the friend of the show title on here now, eh? So
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, I have like for those that aren't watching, I got like a Curve Lake First Nation hoodie on. We got to get you like a Frontline something.
I'm waiting. I've been waiting for like 3 years now for some merch, but it's okay.
It's okay, he says. All right, thanks so much, Dal.
Yep, thanks, 2K.
The Frontline, hosted by Kortney Kenny, the official podcast of the Powassan Voodoos.